On Friday, June 23rd, Yevgeny Prigozhin, the enigmatic leader of the notorious Wagner Group, made a surprising claim that his troops had been fatally targeted by the Russian military. The next day, his militia seized Rostov and marched towards Moscow. Within a day, the Wagner Group shot down 6 Russian helicopters and launched a coup against the Kremlin. Who is Yevgeny Prigozhin, and what was the reason behind the Wagner Group's mutiny?
Breaking news, armored vehicles on the streets of Moscow.
An unprecedented challenge to Vladimir Putin's grip on power.
The leader of the Russian mercenary Wagner Group calling for an armed mutiny.
Yevgeny Prigozhin, also known as the Putin chef, is a Russian oligarch who gained notoriety for providing catering services to the Kremlin. In 2014, he took control of the Wagner Group, a private security company with strong ties to the Russian government. The Wagner Group recruits personnel from former military special forces and prisons, known for their exceptional skill and effectiveness. They became Russia's covert second military, carrying out missions where traditional military forces faced constraints or diplomatic sensitivities. Prigozhin's leadership transformed the Wagner Group into a formidable force. This was done with a network encompassing mining companies, political influence operations, and a highly skilled private military. The Wagner Group operated in various conflict zones, including Syria, Venezuela, and several African countries, carrying out missions aligned with Russian interests. In 2014, during the conflict in Ukraine's Donbass region, the Wagner Group's involvement became evident when unidentified soldiers dressed in unmarked green uniforms, later known as Little Green Men, appeared to support the Russian troops. Notably, they have been actively involved in the Ukraine-Russian conflict, working alongside the official Russian military. Tensions between the Wagner Group and the Russian Ministry of Defense escalated as Prigozhin accused the higher-ups of deceiving the public and the president about the motives behind the Ukraine invasion. He criticized the ministry for portraying Ukraine as an aggressive enemy in collusion with NATO. The Battle of Bakhmut further strained their relationship, with Prigozhin expressing dissatisfaction over inadequate ammunition supply and blaming Defense Minister Shoigu and General Gerasimov for significant casualties. In mid-June, the ministry demanded that the Wagner Group sign military contracts and integrate into the regular command structure. Prigozhin refused, citing Shoigu's incompetence and jeopardizing Wagner's operations in Africa. This conflict sparked a brief coup attempt as Prigozhin claimed that his troops had been killed by the Russian military and announced plans to march towards Moscow. In response, Russia issued an arrest warrant for Prigozhin, denying his claims and increasing security around Moscow. Wagner forces seized Rostov, a crucial logistical hub for Russian operations in Ukraine, and began their advance along the northbound M4 highway towards Moscow. However, around halfway in Voronezh, roadblocks were set up, and fierce firefights erupted between Wagner forces and Russian military helicopters. The clashes destroyed a warehouse and fuel tanks, and 6 Russian helicopters and a plane were reportedly shot down. As Wagner forces continued to advance, reaching within 125 miles of Moscow, a deal was brokered by the president of Belarus. Charges against Prigozhin were dropped, and he relocated to Belarus. Wagner fighters were presented with the option to sign contracts with the ministry, marking the end of the armed confrontation that lasted less than 24 hours. The aftermath of the Wagner Group's mutiny has left African governments uncertain about their reliance on the group's security services. This could potentially impact Moscow's influence in the region. To learn more about the situation, watch a video that explains the conflict between the 2 army commanders in Sudan and the presence of the Wagner Group in that context.